Welcome back to Augment, the Warframe series that highlights some of the less useful augments in the game, while also offering suggestions on how to fix them. Today, we will be taking a look at Corroding Barrage, an augment for Hydroid's Tempest Barrage ability that allows the droplets to inflict corrosive procs on damaging enemies. First, the positives. Armor stripping in any form is always welcomed against Heavy Grineer, as each proc will allow the player's weapons and abilities to deal more damage, and at an accelerated rate if the damage source happens to have bonuses against their health as more gets exposed. Tempest Barrage only requires 25 base energy to cost, and although its duration is very low, it also has a small AoE on the droplets, making more range cause more enemies to be affected. But I have a few issues with the mod, and this is why I chose it for this series. For starters, this does not benefit Hydroid himself, since all his abilities except for Tidal Swarm deal finisher damage, which already ignores armor. And while corrosive procs still mean more damage for the player's weapons versus armored targets, the duration is very low and the range is only good for Tempest Barrage itself, making this augment a little situational. While using a max range and high duration build is a good idea due to the ability having low damage anyways, this requires the player to constantly be refreshing its duration to keep enemies knocked down and affected by the procs, which can become very tedious. In addition, individual enemies will usually only suffer one corrosive proc every 1.5 to 2 seconds, and in most missions you will have killed the enemies already anyways. In higher levels, it's wise to bring a weapon with high status and corrosive anyways, making a few extra corrosive procs moot in the grand scheme of things. But how would DE fix the ability if it's only okay, you ask? Easy. Since corrosive damage is generally considered by the game as a type of acid, and considering the droplets from the ability are liquid, I came up with an idea to take advantage of these traits. One suggestion I have is as enemies take damage and armor is stripped, puddles of corrosive goo form beneath them, getting slightly larger the more they are affected, which proc corrosive damage each second and progressively get higher in damage as they are increased in size. Eventually they will hit a cap, which will leave puddles around 5 meters across which deal 100 corrosive damage a second with a guaranteed proc each second. If no further droplets hit the puddle, after 10 seconds they will evaporate and must be created again. While not a massive buff, this will increase the sources of damage and increase the procs a little, making it more useful against crowds and slightly alleviating the low duration by leaving puddles that can linger and still be effective. My second suggestion is similar, but focus more on crowd control than damage. Instead of creating liquid pools only on enemies being corroded, each droplet will create a mildly sized corrosive goo puddle, which slows enemy movement by 50% and has a chance to proc corrosive each second but without any damage. Similar to my first suggestion, the puddles start small and get bigger as more drops hit the area, but to decrease the amount of strain on the game, this also makes the droplets more consistent, only falling in specific places to make the puddle forming less random. The range is also decreased by 30% on the overall casting area to make the area of goo more compact. This has been Augment. Tune in next time where we will take a look at yet another augment mod.